Hello, powerful one. Welcome to this edition of Inner Growth to Says Our Enemy. Hey, now a quick one. Have you been told that you are under a curse? It's like this. There were people who came onto this planet before you, and these people did some horrible, horrible things for which they incurred a curse. Now, you didn't participate in these actions. Your life right now, yesterday, never ever in any way affirmed or approved of the actions of those ancestors. But you are suffering certain setbacks in life, either by way of ill health or by way of career issues or marriage or anything. And then you are told that until you do something about it right now, that the curse is going to continue down the line even long after you are gone. For this, you are being asked to come for certain sacrifices, for certain penances, so that they might wipe out this curse. You have been attending prayer meetings. You've been doing sacrifices. You've been doing all sorts of things, but they don't seem to be lifting. Is that who you are? My friend, I'm going to ask you this. Why did you believe them? Why did you think that you can be held responsible for the action of another? The law of this universe simply states that whoever does a thing suffers the consequences of those things. Let me explain this to you. You cannot transfer a blessing. You cannot. The good deeds of the doer stays with the doer. Yes, because of the good deed nature of the doer of good, the person can send blessings to their children. But if the ways of the children are contrary to the ways of the person, the good doer, these blessings would not stick. In the same way, one who does evil takes the consequences of their evil, and they cannot transfer it down the line to people who have not accepted, approved their way of life. Some people make reference to the Bible and say that he is the God that visits the iniquity of the father to the child, to the third and fourth generation of those who hate God. But they never add that part of it. The generation of those who hate divine, not the generation of those who love the divine. Very important. And the prophet Ezekiel, the Bible also said in Ezekiel 18:20, all souls, God says, are his. The soul of the Father and the soul of the Son. The Father cannot suffer for the iniquity of the child, neither shall the child suffer for the iniquity of the father. Every person that sins bears the consequences of their sin. Scripture also said in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7, when a man's way pleases God, God even makes that person's enemy to be at peace with the person. This is telling you that the world you're living in is a just world. That justice is what runs the affair of this world. There is no transference of curses from another to another. But this is the problem. You now ask me, why is it working? Simple. Every human being who lives in an environment could experience pushbacks when they want to achieve something that they are not used to achieving. For instance, if you do not have ancestors, parents, uncles who were in a certain field of practice, and you come into it as a new person, at the physical, structural, social level, you will not have the resources to fall back on, because there are no people in that field who know anybody in your family that you can run to as mentors, as backbones. You have to work it out yourself. Secondly, the actions of your parents are inherently inherited by you, the way of life, because these are some of the things you inherit from your parents. That's why it is possible that a guitarist will give birth to a child who will easily understand guitaring, because it is in the ancestral DNA. So these are pieces of information, bundles of information loaded into the mind of the family. Those things are possible. So if you are venturing into areas that your parents, your ancestors have never been to before. So there is no combination in your system that connects you to those actions. You might find it a little bit difficult, but if you persevere, you will create a new trend, which will make it easier for those that come before you. This has nothing to do with curses. It has nothing to do with any malevolence. It has to do with the absence or presence of certain mental data. That's what it's all about. When you come across such difficulties, you persevere, you keep working at it, and you will build your own system. Now, when you are doing that, having such difficulties, and somebody now comes to tell you, oh, you have a generational curse, and you believe that person, at that point in time, you have locked in a belief. Now, there is a saying, I'm sorry, I don't know who made this statement, maybe I will get it out later. They said, all you need is to believe something. Believe. Once you believe, your belief will establish, will create the facts. Whatever your mind dwells on will expand. So whatever you're thinking will work against or for you. This is it. I made a video some years back in which I talked about the experiences I had from people who were cheating on me on my cars. Mechanics, panel beaters, they were just taking a swipe at me. And people kept telling me, oh, they are cheating. In fact, everything I bought, whatever transaction I engaged in, people would always say, within my family circles and friend circle, that I have been cheated. I overlooked it. I didn't care. What I used to tell them is that now where person they walk, now in the chop. What I bought, I liked it. And I thought the price was just okay. So I paid for it. So if they cheated me, that was their own problem. Guess what? The moment I began to buy into these consistent, persistent drone, they cheated you. They are taking advantage of you, and it sank into me. And it started to work against me until I realized that it was poisonous. See, do not give attention to such negative vibes, such negative data. You know why? It is an aspect of corruption. I call it witchcraft. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take a swipe at certain spiritistic practices, but I'm just telling you that corruption is what enters people who listen to everything, especially when the people that are saying these things are people of authority over you, people of influence over you. How would you imagine that you are looking at a person of power, of potency by your standard, saying things like this to you, that you are under a spell, you are under a curse that has been handed down, that has been cruising from your generation till now? Once you give ears to such things, they work. What I won't tell people is that do not pick any human being as a standard of your life. Do not. In my studies in mind, I discovered one thing, that the human being was designed to be inwardly self-motivated, not outwardly. A human being that is outwardly motivated, who is run by other people's ideas, other people's beliefs that are products of preachment of others, are not free. They are bond slaves to those people. Until you expunge all these people's voices, all these people's ideas from your mind, they will keep running you. Let me tell you something. Every human life is a product of their beliefs. What is a belief? An emotional bit of information or set of information locked in your subconscious being. That is a belief. It is powerful. People talk about positive thinking. It's okay to be positive in your thinking, but not every thought you can reach. You can't reach every thought. There are some thoughts that have so matured in you that they became a feeling. From a feeling, they became an emotion. From an emotion, they sank into the depth of your subconscious and they became a program. And these programs will run your life. It doesn't matter what you believe mentally at the intellectual level. If your thoughts are positive and you want to achieve certain goals in life, and those thoughts that are positive are running contrary to the program that is running underground in the subconscious that you are not aware of, no matter how well you frame those thoughts, no matter how much confessions and affirmations you make, they will be pulverized. The program will destroy those thoughts. and you will fall back to square one. That's why people say positive thinking doesn't work. You have to understand when to think and when not to think. I have done a video before where I talked about the value of sleep. You can see the link on this video, or at the description section of this video, you will see a link to that. How to use your sleep to your maximum advantage. You can reprogram your life by the period, a few seconds before you go to bed and a few seconds after you wake up from sleep. You can begin to program your life along a certain path. It works. What makes it not to work is lack of discipline, inability to stick to the routine. If you stick to the routine, you will have the result over time. And don't be impatient. Stick to it and try it out. You will see the results. And excuse me, when you go for all-night prayer sessions, when you go for revival services, when you go for what you call your violent or prevailing prayer sessions, what do you think you're doing there? You fast before you go. Sometimes you fast in the service, right at the service. What do you think you're doing? You are being programmed, because in a state of fasting, your subconscious gateway is wide open. Then they use a lot of music and a lot of highly emotive words. Everything is targeted at your subconscious, and that is where you are being programmed. So whatever they say during worship services, there is a moment when the church engages in worship. That moment is very, very volatile because the emotions are so high, logic is suspended, your subconscious gateway is wide open. Every single thing that is being pronounced by the person holding the microphone and controlling the operations at that moment becomes a program instantly in your subconscious. That is why it is very difficult to talk to religious people, because they are programmed and being reprogrammed. The programs in them are being affirmed by every contact situation with the system that programmed them. So if a system like that tells you that you are under an ancestral curse, it works. Why? Because fear is the basis of religion. If everybody were free, if there were no financial problems in Africa, if things that government should normally have done were being done in Africa, who would go to church? Who would go to mosque? Who would go to all those worship centers where they... Come on, just understand me. You are not under a curse. Doesn't matter what your ancestors did. But I want to tell you something. If you knew the history of Europe, anybody, that's why it hurts to think of these things really. A lot of Africans studied European history. European history is replete with bloodshed, with evil things done by these people. Let's not even think about what they did to other countries. I mean, within themselves, the killings that they did to themselves, the evil they did. There is no African country, there is no African nation that approximates 10% of the evil of Europe, of United States of America, of Israel. Well, guess what? Africans who are Africans, Indians, whether Indians in the Americas, the original owners of America, and of course, other Indians, the Aborigines in Australia. These were people that were killed en masse, murdered, destroyed. Well, guess what? The children, the generation of the people who did these evils, they are ruling the world today. They are the ones that have all the technologies and everything. If anybody should have a generational curse that should suppress and subjugate and belittle and degrade them, it is the Europeans and the Americans, not you Africans, not you Nigerians. Your ancestors were saints compared with their ancestors. So where is your ancestral curse coming from? All of these things are a part and parcel of the imperialist ideology meant to subjugate Africans so that they will be under perpetual bondage in their mind, and then in the process of that, they can keep running your affairs for you. You've taken over your universities, your secondary schools are being taken over, jobs are being taken over. People are actually shipping themselves to Europe and America for jobs. They do million jobs over there just to survive. God bless you, Africans. So all of you are there. I'm not fighting you. I'm just saying that there is a system put in place at home to make you run there. The system that are put in place to subjugate and dump all of us down, were created by whom? The same people whose religion tell you that you who are a product of a noble ancestry are under an ancestral curse. They came with their religions. They came with everything at us, because without Africa, the European and the Americans will not survive 1 month. We do not know this. We are running on the fuel of their lies. Don't take it. Don't. You are not under a curse. Learn that today and walk your life out of that hole. Thank you.